Hi, everybody. Welcome. We are having an early day today. By the time I usually start working, I have already put together a very funny short and posted it. Had a visitor who brought me a cool water feature as a gift. So, my household is on a roll today. Unfortunately, regardless of my good mood, today's topic will likely not match my mood, but it needs to be done. Someone needs to say it. I read the story about medical personnel, I would guess a nurse, trying to get access to Catherine's records. And I'm guessing that she is a sugar or working for the sugars because I tried and tried. Well, just for my own curiosity and because I was a little worried. But nothing I said or did convinced anyone to tell me. One person even being blunt and telling me they wouldn't tell me even if they knew. Well, sugar or fan, just be patient. William and Catherine will give more information when they are ready, likely after she returned to work. It really, my dear friends, is not worth losing your job over. Okay, now having said that, regardless of Catherine being a senior royal and obviously on the mend, there appears to still be some rising unease among the royals and the courtiers. Now, just like with Catherine, I guess the king also has the right to keep some of the details of his illness private, but then the king is the head of state of 15 Commonwealth realms. I would say his welfare hits a little differently, don't you? Now, there are two trains of thought concerning the king's health. The first one is that his cancer was caught early and is 100% treatable, and that he'll attend Trooping the Colour on Saturday, the 15th of June, and thereafter both him and Catherine will be back to full duties. Then there is the other side who believe that the king's condition is worse than we are being told. A body language analyst watched a segment where I think Australia presenter asked Lady C about the king's condition, and this analyst says he detected some discomfort and signs of lying when she tried to downplay her answer. Well, true or not, it is not for me to decide, but if, and I truly mean if, the king is more sick than we are being told, then he needs to really, honestly and truly, has to either make William regent or abdicate and let William get on with it. And believe it or not, I'm not saying it out of nastiness or even because I don't really like King Charles. No, not at all. I'm saying it because of the country as a whole and the monarchy as a whole. Although Princess Anne has taken over some of the king's public duties as well as some of William's during the worst of Catherine's illness, and although she was brilliantly assisted and supported by Duchess Sophie and the Duke of Gloucester, and even though the Queen Consort had also increased her public engagement, and let's not forget the Duke of Edinburgh, who had a couple of overseas visits on behalf of the Duke of Edinburgh's award, as well as local visits to various charities and patronages. One cannot fault any of them for trying, but as individuals, they do not have the resources or staff the king has, and they do not have the power the king has, and therefore cannot do everything the king can. William is indeed back now, and if you ask me, I would say that it is William's body language which bothers me sometimes. Not all the time, but when his jaw is set and stiff and he has that muscle jumping in his cheek, his stress is clear for all to see. It is becoming clearer and clearer that the Palace PR, both that of Kensington Palace and Buckingham Palace, have lost control of the media, including mainstream and social media, and have likely or seemingly also lost control of their own plans. I'm hearing stories of further chaos, and not only in the PR and media liaison departments. I'm hearing gossip. Mind you, I have no proof. This did not come from my older, more trusted sources, but from people who have indeed nothing to gain by lying either. So, at this point, I am prepared to entertain their thoughts. According to them, there is a lot of chaos reminiscent of the early 2000s when Charles's charities were in a rut royal mess, allegedly and unfortunately. I'm also told that William's reorganizing of his office and new appointments are also not working out the way he had hoped it would. The entire debacle surrounding the Mother's Day photograph is, and I agree with them, a fine example of how William and Catherine's staff are actually failing them. There is even some nasty rumours that some of the newer appointments at the palaces are not royalists. And although William and Catherine thought it would bring balance, it is not doing so. Instead, it is bringing even more chaos and uncertainty. The king's staff, on the other hand, will do his bidding, even when they think he may be wrong. The one person said to me that it is hard to explain the actual situation, but that there is an element of chaos all around, among staff, in the palaces, and even in the family, and that it is creating an atmosphere that can be felt a mile off. Order and peace needs to be restored very quickly, according to this particular informant. And the reason why I am even bothering to bring this gossip to you is because I heard enough similar stories now to believe that there is an element of truth in it. Among all the chaos, I think, and I feel, and I know that judging by recent polls, William and Catherine is the monarchy's only hope. In a poll about a month and a half ago, Catherine was the most popular royal, with William a close second, and Princess Anne third, ahead of her brother the king. The margins between Catherine, William, and Anne are indeed narrow, and so narrow that they are interchangeable. For instance, another poll placed William first and Catherine and Anne both at 73%. However, the gap between whoever is third and the king in fourth place is uncomfortably wide, with the king's approval rating in another poll dropping from 54% to 50%. Again, at least one of the polls also show a large number of those in favour of King Charles III and who thinks he is doing a good job are over 65. Some think I'm over-dramatising, but this is not a pretty picture at all. During the Queen's reign, she was almost consistently at the top of the popularity scale, and her approval rating was almost consistently in the mid-70s. It even went up to, if I read correctly, 81% in May 2022. Now, I'm not sure about before, 20 years before, etc. Maybe it was even more then or less, I don't know. The only period that I am personally aware of that the Queen's approval and popularity ratings took a bit of a nosedive was around the time of Diana's death. But courtiers came to her rescue with good advice and a few stellar speeches, and order was restored. The Queen also used to say, "We need to be seen to be believed." And she lived by that mantra. And we saw her up to 2 days before her death. And that, my dear friends, is why I believe and feel that if the King's illness is worse than we are being told, he should be the leader he is supposed to be, act according to what is best for the country, and hand over to William. Give Britain some hope, something to be proud of, something to smile about, something to take a joyful interest in. A royal family with growing children, a beautiful queen wearing beautiful clothing. Among all the chaos and drama of a nasty old world out there, we need the glamour and the joy, but we also need William's steadfastness. I see there are more articles out about William's temper. Well, I would rather have someone with a temper, someone whom I know exactly where he stands on certain matters, rather than someone who skulks away to go sulk, or someone who hides his displeasure or irritability behind a fake smile. Then, before I go, I read that Barack Obama had a private visit with Rishi Sunak at number 10 Downing Street. I personally find that a bit strange, a little unsettling, or am I just being paranoid? Some call it a courtesy visit, which I find even stranger, as Obama is not president anymore. So unless he is a buddy of Rishi Sunak, he does not really owe him a courtesy visit. Obama was, they say, in Britain on behalf of his Obama Foundation and a scholarship program they run. Not something which really needs to be discussed with Rishi Sunak either. Apparently, he also met with the opposition leader Keir Starmer later. Now, mainstream media is trying to tell us it was just two friendly meetings, that the men giggled and played marbles. Well, I don't think so. What do you think? One of my friends reminded me that Obama is or was a constitutional law professor at the University of Chicago, and he was wondering whether perhaps, maybe, Britain is facing some kind of constitutional crisis. Well, guys, tell me what you think. Okay, I am really kicking myself today because I still have not brought you the video I had been promising the past 3 days. But it requires a little more research than just a few online chats and reading the headlines of the Express. And with school coming out early today, load shedding and all that nonsense, I may have been early today, but at the same time, I purely ran out of time. So, guys, tomorrow is another day, and we'll see what I can do tomorrow. Please take care of yourselves. Until then, bye.